Well, hello and welcome to chapter 19 of um, World's Longest Suicide Note. My name's Roger. I'll be your host today, well, and every day, really. Um, and while I am suicidal at times, sometimes often, I am not a mental health professional of any kind, nor am I an interpretive dancer. So, anyway. Yeah, so I'm finishing this shack up today. We had shack, um, and yeah, we're gonna talk about something that's kind of unique. I don't want to say it's unique to folks who are suicidal. Honestly, if I'm being honest with you, I don't really know a lot of other folks who are like me, um, who are suicidal all the time. I know they're out there, um, but I mean, and I know that there's people who say they struggle with things, and but there's, I mean, I live with it all the time, and so take that with a grain of salt too. So, um, yeah. So I guess what I'm getting to is there's some things that I don't know if they're unique to folks who are, or they morph to, that the suicidality part of my psyche. Um, anyway, let me explain it, and then we'll see if we can break it down. At this point, there's things that I enjoy doing and things that I don't enjoy doing. And the things that I don't enjoy doing, um, you know, uh, as an example, um, I don't really care. I don't like flossing my teeth. I don't like stretching. I don't like prepping anything like food or for the apocalypse or painting. Like if you're gonna paint a wall, I hate painting walls, um, and I despise the prep. Um, and I've always kind of been that way. But so I don't want to make it sound like, okay, if you don't like that stuff, then you're suicidal. That's not how it is, and I'm sure that there's an actual name for that kind of, the psychologist would, pigeonhole you somehow. um, yeah, and I've always kind of been that way, where I just don't value that activity. I don't want to warm up. I just want to go. Um, and so, and that's a challenge, because, there's a reason why you do those things. There's a reason why you prep for painting. There's a reason why you stretch before you exercise. There's a reason why you floss your teeth. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, gross, he doesn't floss. I do floss my teeth. Just not every day. So, and it's okay. I mean, my dental hygienist would tell you the same thing. I mean, I'm not trying to hide something, um, or justify my grossness. Um, but so if that's how it was naturally, well, now it's like, um, when those things come up that I have to do, it it makes me think of suicide. I mean, it's not even. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say is like, okay, so I had this issue before. Growing up, my mind doesn't value certain activities. I know they're important, and then there's a value to them, but I don't prescribe a huge value to those things. And so, and I'm sure there's a lot of people like that. All right, so I have that. Don't like prepping for stuff. Okay, well then the mental illness happens, and so that doesn't. I mean, that's neither here nor there as far as this one specific situation. Okay, don't like doing it, but now I have the mental illness thing going, and it starts to trigger kind of, that mental illness piece. Whenever I have to do it, it's like, oh, I don't really want to do this, and then it gets into my head, and starts attaching itself to the mental illness side of it, so that now you start getting anxious about having to do things, especially if you're not good at them. I got to do all this stuff, all this prep stuff, and that's not my jam. That is not my variety of jelly, of preserves. So it starts to become a mental issue, where you avoid it, and it's because so it gets built up. Like, instead of just freaking doing it like normal people, you walk into a gym and there's people stretching and doing yoga. I mean, it's like yoga. Always, there's an appealing part of yoga. Like, yeah, I'd like to be able to, bend, but God, it sucks. And then you got to hold it for periods of time. Ay. It's terrifying. Hello, my name's Roger. I'm scared of yoga. Stop doing that. Yeah, but the whole idea, I think what I'm trying to say, is how a normal person they may not like it, but they understand the value, and they just do it like an adult, and it's not a thing. It becomes a thing for me, because I don't like to do that stuff. And so then the mental illness, and then you start getting your anxiety involved with it, and it evolves. So over time, it evolves into this thing. So now, it gets to the point where when I think about those kind of activities, it makes me think of suicide. It makes me. It's like, why? It's like, gosh, just kill myself, and I don't have to worry about it. Or it's like, that's something I'm not gonna miss, because we do that. Whenever we are thinking about suicide, or fixating or ideating on it, we think about the things that we won't miss, and that makes it easier. Well, when I'm dead, I won't have to stretch. Unless hell does actually exist, and it's a big fucking hot yoga class. Yeah. That's not good. Yeah. So it's just we have connections to things, and we build mental connections, mental walls, mental, all this stuff we do between our ears about things that we like and things that we don't like. And a lot of the prep stuff, that's preparation, and this, I'm not telling you something you don't know. I mean, you're watching these videos that I don't prep for. I mean, if this blows your mind, your bar is set super duper low as far as entertainment goes. So, and I know that's a important part of life, is preparing things. I do. I mean, and I do have to prepare stuff. I mean, my job does require that to a degree. I'm very lucky that I work with my brother, who is very good at that, and he carries me a lot. So, I mean, knowing that that's a weakness, going into it knowing it's like, hey, if this is prep heavy, I'm not probably going to be your favorite person, because I'm not good at it. And it makes me think, fantasize, and I don't like saying fantasize about suicide, because I've fantasized about stuff, but I've never fantasized about suicide. I've thought about it a lot. I've dreamt about it. I've planned it more times than most people plan their wedding. So, I mean, I get that, and I've done prep for my suicide. Oh, wow. That's ironic. Because, and what I mean by that's ironic is I don't think I ever really minded the prep for the suicide. I mean, that was never really an onerous part of it. That's weird. I'm discovering things. It's magic. It's the magic of self-therapy. Is you learn more about yourself by just rambling on and on. Because I did a lot of prep for my suicide. Yeah, that was probably the only thing that I actually prepped good. And I didn't even do it. The irony. If there's going to be, like, at the end of this, when I'm done with this, whenever that is, if there's an overarching theme, irony has got to be one of them. Because there's so many layers of irony when it comes to mental illness and suicide. And so, anyway, I don't know if that makes sense. Probably not. I'm not in the making sense business. So that absolves me of any responsibility to ever make sense. But I think that the point I'm trying to make is that, like, when you're dealing with mental illness, I mean, it takes things that are challenging and attaches significant weight to those things. And wherever you are, it will, whatever level, if you're just, depressed but not suicidal, it'll attach to that, and then it'll become something that's harder and harder and harder to do. And in the word, that everyone who struggles with things, it becomes the impossible task. And people who deal with mental illness understand what that impossible task means. It's something that the normies have no problem doing, but some people who struggle with mental illness, some things just are impossible. just flat impossible, or super. And I don't mean impossible like it's just it seems incredibly daunting in our minds, and so and then if you are dealing with suicidal ideations, then that attaches to it. So now when we go into that, now my level is when I think about those things, I'm thinking about suicide. So, you know, if that makes sense, it attaches to your mentality. Um, yeah. And so, which is another thing that triggers the suicidal thoughts and ideations. So, whenever I have to do things that I don't like doing, I immediately go to thoughts of suicide. So, and I don't know if there's any way, I'm just saying, I'm not saying that there's an alternative or there's a way to not do that. It's not a conscious decision. I don't consciously think, oh, I see painter's tape and I'm thinking about suicide. No, it's when I'm in the act of doing that and I'm not happy about it because I don't attach value to it. That I think about that. Now, of course, I've pretty much said what the answer could be, and that is to assign value to that. You know, actually put value on that. But that is, you know, easier said than done. I was going to say harder said than harder done than said. Anyway, is attaching actual value to that. I mean, you can't go on vacation without packing your bags, but I don't mind packing my bags for vacation because we're going on vacation. I don't like unpacking the bags. That's a chore, but it's not prep, so it doesn't. God, I'm strange, and I'm okay with it. It is what it is. I'm just here to tell the story of, you know, madness, whatever. So anyway, I wanted to talk about that, and some things that I want to talk about sound way better in my mind before I open my mouth. I actually like, yes, that makes sense. In my little internal TED talk, I'm like, yes, my head's nodding and I'm like, you got it. And then when I push record, it's like, blah. So anyway, if you got something out of this, awesome. If not, then I'll try harder next time. So, yeah, I don't know what we're going to talk about next. It'll probably sound way better in my head than it does to your ears, but we'll just keep moving forward. So we'll see you next time. Keep fighting hard. Keep giving yourself one more day. All right? Send in love and peace. Bye.